It's Willie Lewis, and I've been trying to get justice for me and my family for 33 years. I worked for the Goodyear Giant Rubber Company, and I got hired in Jackson, Michigan, August 9, 1972. The plant blew up. I transferred to Tennessee, and I had a job injury, and I have all the documents, and I'm going to read them to you, and then I explain what they mean the best I can. A lot of it's medical term, but I can explain enough for everybody to see. This is the attending, when I first got hurt, this is the first report. I was pulling on rubber on a skid and got pain in my right shoulder and chest, cervical malformations. I went to the doctor's clinic, and they gave me undetermined time off for work. Then I went to Philip Sherman, and he said that I had I had a poor muscle in my shoulder. And this is his document, Philip Sherman. And his document state past history includes surgery on right hand, which I did. But I was diagnosed with a poor muscle. So they sent me to James Craig. All these company doctors in Jackson, Tennessee. He gave me 6 weeks off work. It was the 5th, 31st, 84. 6 weeks off work, James Craig. I took the 6 weeks off. And when I went back to see him, they told me I was going paralyzed. I was getting better. And they told me I was going paralyzed. And they told me if I didn't have surgery, I would never walk again. And I wanted to come back to Michigan. They said that would be suicide. I had never been sick before in my life. And they told me I had a ruptured disc. And if I didn't let them take it out right away, I would go paralyzed. I had never been sick before in my life. And they sent me to H. Glenn Burnett. This is his report. Cervical disc, lifting bales of rubber, scheduled to enter a hospital for disc surgery on 7/27/84. The 7/17/84, I went to his office. And this is his surgeon report. Patient stated he was lifting at work and developed right shoulder pain, which I did. Decreased range of motion in innate with pain produced in the area of flexion, extension, and rotation. A lot of this is medical talk, but I'll do the best I can. Cervical discectomy, that's what he said he did. Finding compatible with herniated discs at C5 and C6. Patient last seen on 8/7/27/84 and asked to return in 1 month. Patient had not returned as of this date. The reason I didn't go back to him, when he did surgery on me, he told me I was a lazy-ass nickel, and he put me back to work. October 17th, 1984. When he put me back to work, I couldn't even set up. I had to lay in the back of a van to get to the doctor. And this is his report. All this here is lies. This here is Goodyear doctor's lie. Everything here is falsified. Everything here is 1,000% falsified. This is what he said. This 32-year-old male was admitted to the hospital significantly for evaluation of a suspected C5 disc herniation. A mammogram was done that showed a lesson. The patient was offered surgery, accepted the surgery. The nerve was decompressed. The disc was removed. That's a lie. My disc still in me. I've had the mammogram. I've had the CT scan. I've had the MRI. And And for 33 years, I haven't found anybody that can make Goodyear show a record of me. They told me they got to take the diss out of me. That's what all the politicians know about it. The Republican, Democrat, the black organization, all of them know about it. The civil rights. And here's another document from me. All this is falsified. All this is falsified. Cervical monogram. They never gave me a monogram. But they said here, they gave me a cervical monogram. And they did. Here, Goodyear said that post removal of herniated disc, fragment on the right. Ain't no disc out of me. Everything is falsified in these documents from Goodyear. Here they say they reveal. They even say they took a piece of my disc to the lab, the herniated disc, cervical disc. They took it to the lab, the copies, at my disc, knowing that this is still in me, and it's in writing. Everything I got is in writing. And this document showed, here's another one. The patient had cervical disc operation approximately 1 month ago. According to the patient, after leaving the hospital, he developed severe neck pain and tried to reach us and had difficulty in doing so. Apparently, I was off that week. No, he went off that week. He told me I was a lazy-ass nigga, and he was putting me back to work, and he did put me back to work October 17, 1984. Hospitalized him in the Union City Hospital for 2 days. He has been out of the hospital now for almost a month. He said he was hospitalized because he had his arm still seemed to be better than it was prior to the surgery. He says a lot of it. I'm just weak. That's what I told him. I don't feel like doing anything. The operation took a lot out of me. My right arm pain is gone. I didn't tell him that. I never told him that because he refused to see me. I say he seen me one time after the surgery, and he put me back to work, and I couldn't walk. Here, cervical disc rupture, C5 and C6. Goodyear doctor, line again, H. Glenn Burnett. Here's Samuel Hunter. He gave me 8 pills to take in an unmarked bottle. They said they were special pills. I didn't take the pills. Goodyear didn't give me no pills until they told me I had to take the 8 pills. I didn't take the 8 pills, and they had my son beat up. And when they had my son beat up, I feared for my life, especially when they gave me the 8 pills in an unmarked bottle. I went 125 miles. I laid in the back of a van, Samuel Hunter. This is his paperwork. Injured at work, 5th 11, heavy lifting. Rupture C5 disc. He lied too, because he's a company doctor. And y'all have to bear with me. I'm a chronic pain patient. And my pain is bad. The operation left me in chronic pain. I'm recovering from 3 Weaver surgery. Wobble surgery, Weaver wobble surgery. I had 3 last year. And I'm a chronic pain patient, and my pain is at about an 8 today. But I need help, and I fear for my life. And this is another document from Hunter saying I had a ruptured disc. And everything here is falsified in these documents from Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. These is the documents saying that this is still in my body. From my doctors told the truth. Posterior stature of cervical laminectomy for most likely C6 nerve root, compressive syndrome, cervical malfunction or something. This is legal term. This is a medical term. But anyway, Just bear with me for a minute. This say that I have a normal dorsal spine. They gave me a monogram. They gave me a monogram in Michigan. And it came out normal dorsal spine. And guy that gave it to me was S.T. Redden, medical doctor. It was done the 1st to 31st, 1985 at Allegiant Health. And here's Dr. Suskin, dorsal and cervical monogram. Well, he the one called it in. And all these papers is accurate. Right here, this is the truth. And when they gave me the monogram, CAT scan, and CT scan, their finding was no evidence of a herniated disc, negative CT scan. So discs don't grow back. So how's mine still there? And Goodyear doctor said they took it out. 3 hospitals covered this up. Allegiant Health covered this up. The U of M covered this up. All the presidential administration covered this up. All the black organizations covered this up. They knew about it from the get-go. But it's more. Here's another cervical malfunction. The doctor's here. And this is from the CT scan. And this is what Dr. Lawrence Hanselman said, the man that rehabilitated me. He said, I really felt that we had to look for any abnormality factors in the cervical spine prior to the intuition of a treatment program. As you know, the CT scan showed no defects or evidence of a herniated disc. They cut me in my brain stem back of my neck. You got to take a disc out from the front. I'm cut back of my neck. That's why I'm cut it. And I want my medical records. I want all you politicians to get me my medical records. Simple as that. This is the Union busting from 1980, and I'm one of the slaves that lived to tell the story. And it's more, this is when I was rehabilitated in Chelsea when I couldn't walk. And this is from Culligan, but he basically played both sides of the fence. All he was concerned about was getting me off pain medicine and want me to take an aspirin, but Dr. Hanselman put me back on my pain medicine. I thank God for Dr. Hanselman. And this is what Dr. Suskin said. This is a complication of the surgery. He had surgery in the neck for pensioner. And this is the truth. Okay. Hi, I'm back. I had to take a break and take some pain medicine. This is a handicap, a permanent handicap sticker that I have. And this is documentation proving that the union falsely represented me. During the past 6 months, the above labeled organization falsely represented to the charging party that they were pursuing a grievance on his behalf against the Goodyear Giant and Rebel Company, when in fact they was not doing anything to assist this charging party regarding this claim against the company. By this and other acts, the above labeled organization has failed to properly represent the charging party, the UIW union. So the union covered it up. They said I had to have this taken out. Marlon Stone, all of them, they covered it up. Plus I have the bill they paid, and Huntsberger said when I was sick, here's the bill, the rehabilitation I got up here when I moved back to Michigan, and she wrote, not workers' comp, Vivian Huntsberger. Her and Hunter was the one Hunter gave me the 8 pills. I rode 125 miles, and I got back home. I called her. She the workers' comp lady. And I said, Hunter didn't give me any medicine. And she said, we not going to give you any medicine until you take the 8 pills. I said, how do you know about the 8 pills? I didn't tell her. I didn't take the 8 pills. And they didn't give me no more medicine after having my son beat up. I told them I would have the surgery, but I needed about 6 weeks to get my strength up. Then they stopped watching me so close. Then we slipped out. But anyway, she says not workers' comp or anything that I got after I left Tennessee. And this here is the monogram, what they said they paid for the monogram. They said the monogram they paid me to have, which I didn't have a monogram. It was $1,915. That's what they said. The nerve root conduction 3 was $80. Initial $85. I don't know what they're talking about because it's falsified. You know, I simply said, here's a picture of the monogram they falsified and sent to X-ray. Saying this is the note about this sent to X-ray, and and this here is what travel insurance said. Robert Farmer. This is what they told me. As a courtesy, I am writing you that the statute of limitations will run on your claim on February 8, 1986. Our record reflects that you have been notified that we contest your physician change and additional treatment that you have occurred since your injury date. We therefore now show that our last payment was made on February 8, 1985, and you have within 1 year from the date of our last payment to pursue your claim. I am writing this letter so that you will be aware that we will pursue any applicable defense that are available to us should you at a later date wish to pursue this matter. Robert Farmer, claim supervisor. God only know how many people. These people ain't cut like me. Simply said. And here is the they put in writing. I got hurt May 11th. That's the correct date I got hurt. Here, Goodyear fired me May 10th, 1984. The whole time they did this to me, I was fired on paper. How could I get hurt May 11th? And May 10th, we ceased to employ Willie Lewis. How can that be? How did they know I would never work again before I had the operation? And here it is in writing. On May 10th, we ceased to employ Willie Lewis. Okay. These are certified slips that I went to all the media outlets that covered this up, and my son will take picture of them. He's going to take pictures of them so you can see the certified slips. Move. Okay. This is the Civil Rights cover-up. March 20, 1985, the National Rainbow Coalition. I called them, and they said they could help me. They could do this. I told them what to help me. If you got it in writing, we'll do this, we'll do that. So if they got what they needed in writing, I got a letter from that organization that states Thank you for your recent correspondence addressed to Reverend Justice L. Jackson. Due to a reduction in staff, we are unable to represent you in this matter. However, we are equipped to assist you by referral to the proper agency, Organization X, exec. We welcome your correspondence in keeping us informed of the status and outcome of this matter. Thank you again for taking the time to share your problem, and please be assured that our prayers are with you for an expectant resolution to your problem. And here's a copy of that letter. And when I talked to them and questioned them, the way the lady talked to me, I would ask her a question. She would say, "I know, darling. Sure, darling. I understand, darling." That's the way they treated me. They could do wonders till they got the evidence. Then they couldn't help me. I couldn't walk. My son cut without medical records. I couldn't walk. But he didn't have no staff for me. No, he didn't have no staff for me. The NHP told me I was too low on the social level for them to help. That's what they told me. I was too low on the social level. Here's a letter from them. This letter states, August 8, 1989, writer met with Mr. Lewis at his home, Teresa Wiggins. Mr. Lewis was injured on his job. As a result of this injury, surgery was performed to remove a disc or a portion of a disc. Mr. Lewis continued to experience pain and applied for representation from his union. It is unclear whether the union of Goodyear was communicating with Mr. Lewis pertaining to his benefits. However, Mr. Lewis complained that his union did not represent him fairly. The writer reviewed a letter from the National Labor Relations Board and state that it has not received documentation to support this claim. Mr. Lewis was instructed on the procedure to follow to answer the National Labor Board February 19, 1989 letter to back up his statute of limitation on their jurisdiction to intervene on his behalf. Mr. Lewis responded to the writer stating that he had sent 71 copies, and I had, of his action to these peoples. However, identification to those attachments were not made and thus would be required. Mr. Lewis responded was that most of the communication with the union were variable and thus was not communicated to the NLRB, and that's a lie. I sent them 71 copies. She made all this up, but it get better. Contact has been made with Goodyear in on Mr. Lewis' behalf. However, has offered Mr. Lewis a continuous service until his application is received and an uncontested disability pension. Mr. Lewis has refused to apply for some unknown reason. The writer requests that a copy of Goodyear employment benefits package be forwarded to Mr. Harold White, president of the Jackson branch NAACP. Any confusion on this matter? What the NAACP tried to do, Teresa and Harold White and Doug William and Carl Breeden them, they tried to get me to sign a paper saying this never happened. That's what they did. Interviewing Mr. Lewis revealed a perception that he would receive a cash lump sum of $82,000. She made this up. I couldn't walk. And she talking about $82,000. That's a lie. Goodyear told me they would only pay me $13,500, and I had a year to get well. And if I wasn't well in a year, you don't get nothing. She made all this up. She brought 3 documents from my apartment her and Harold White. She told me, sign the documents, and they could get to work on the case. Teresa with them. Harold dead now, but Teresa ain't. And the document was folded for sign here, sign here, sign here. So when I took the documents and took the pen, I told my wife, I said, Fane, look at this and see what it said. And when I said that, it's like I spit in their face. They thought I was dumb enough to sign documents without reading it. One of the documents read, I never had surgery and tendency of any kind. Any way I'm feeling, Goodyear had nothing to do with it. I never had a shop injury of any kind. And after 10 years, if you work at Goodyear, you have a 10-year vested pension. And they wanted me to sign up for that 10-year vested pension because I never had an injury. I just walked away from my job. But then they said, in conclusion, the writer is of the impression that Mr. Lewis is somewhat confused as to what a disability employee is entitled to when injured on the job. The writer is unsure as to what Mr. Lewis thought his union was capable of doing as far as his claim are concerned. Goodyear has continued to offer Mr. Lewis disability. His union representative claim seemed to be that they did not hire an attorney. That's a lie. I know Goodyear can't have no attorney for me. That's a lie. She made all this up. Therefore, it is the writer's opinion that this is not a class-based discrimination case and seemingly a confused state of mind. They said I was crazy. None of this happened. I'm in a confused state of mind. The NAACP said I was crazy. And here it is in writing. I want my son to take a picture of this. I'm in a confused state of mind. Nothing like this happened to me. And that's what they did to me. And when I called the headquarters, they got the evidence. They told me that they concerned with the people make $75,000 or $100,000 with a college education. And I told him, I don't know who I talked to. I said, someday everybody will see. He said, well, I doubt that. I doubt that very seriously. I've been cussed out by the NAACP all over the country. All over the country, I've been cussed out by them. Simple as that. The Action Network called me and told me I was crazy on the phone. They called me 2 times in one day. And the reason they was doing that is because they wanted me there. Because I could prove that they knew about this all the time. Simply said. The same way they killed my wife is the same way they did to me. That's why Saturday and Rick Siler and them had me thrown out the hospital at the U of M when I had Weaver surgery. I had tubes in me. And they threw me out the hospital and said I wasn't sick. I had 3 Weaver surgeries. And they threw me out the hospital and gave me Sabota. That's is an antidepressant. And it make you bleed. And the bleeding can be fatal. They gave me 700 and printed pills at one time. And Saturday, the U of M, Tyler Pollock, all of them said me and my son was junkies. And my stomach is cut from here. I had 2 tubes in me when they did that. As simple as that. And that's what they did. But here's the Michigan Leadership Conference, Ira Cohn. He pretended to write Ed Brett. It ain't no Michigan Leadership Conference. He made it up. He told me that he had an organization. It's a bishop, Ira Cohn. He ain't no bishop. He's a Republican. Yeah, the top Republican in Jackson. And he pretended he had the Michigan Leadership Conference. And he hooked me up with this lawyer, Walton. And he gave me $75 to go see Walton. I said, why did you give me $75 to go see Walton? I went to see Walton. I saw him one time. I talked to Walton one time. Walton called me one time after he got the paperwork. He said, do you have a lawyer? I said, no, I do not have a lawyer. Do you have another? I said, no, I don't have another lawyer. And that's the last I heard from him. When I seen Ira Combe again, he said, forget about what happened to me. Forget about what happened to me. Jesus will get him in the next life. And about 6 weeks later, he put up this church. And I'll leave it at that. That's what he told me. Leave it alone. Forget about it. Jesus will get him in the next life. That's what he told me. And here's his paperwork. Here's another document from the NAACP Benjamin Hooks. Your letter to me requesting assistance has been forwarded to John Riggin, Director of Labor. Here's a copy of that letter. And when my wife came down with cancer, her caseworker wrote to NAACP. And I will read this letter, then I'll give you a copy of it. My client name is Josephine Lewis. She is currently being treated for major depression at Lifeways. She also has physical health problems that are debilitating. She has recently been diagnosed with 2 ruptured discs and needs surgery. However, she isn't able to get insurance because FIA said she makes too much money. Family of 4, income $1,100. In addition, she suffers from migraine headaches. I have applied for both Social Security, disability, and Medicaid several times, 3+ times. She has been denied due to having too much money, not sick enough, nor disabled enough. Her problem developed after her husband was involved in a work injury through Goodyear Giant rubber company. And her husband had a falling out. He has never received workers' compensation from Goodyear, and in fact, now they deny that he even injured or even worked for them. I am writing to you with the hopes that the strength of your organization, which the NAACP, he wrote the NAACP on my behalf, may be able to assist me in shedding light on her case and perhaps also aid the furthering of the investigation of why Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company continue to deny Mr. Lewis. I am also unable to get clarification as to why she is repeatedly denied insurance, which she desperately needs. This family needs help. They are in financial disgrace, and it's appears that no matter what I cry as her case manager, I am getting anywhere. If perhaps a member of your organization would meet with the Lewises and myself and advise us, it would be greatly appreciated. I can be reached at phone number here and phone number. Here's a copy of the letter. And this is another letter from Doug Wiggin. He's the NAACP lawyer, and it reads, I first came in contact with this man in 1985. I received notice from President Breeden to review his case. I investigated and reported to President Breeden and the National Office my action related to this case. It is my decision that the case will not comply with special contribution fund and its requirement. On August 2nd, 1989, President White requested that the branch Legal Redress Committee investigate and assist my wife, Teresa, to meet with Mr. Lewis and the President and President White. This was done on August 3rd, 1989, with a report being submitted. I did not go for fear of being biased. After a careful review of this report and the fact contained therein, it is my opinion that this case does not fit within the qualifications set forth by NAACP Civil Rights Action, and I have therefore recommended that the Jackson branch of NAACP withdraw from any action in this matter and allow Mr. Lewis to proceed further with an attorney of his choice on a continuous basis. And here's a copy of that letter. My child cut, I'm cut, and it don't fall under the guidelines. The NAACP and all the civil rights organizations, one phone call, my suffering would have been over, my wife would be alive. But I didn't have a social life, and that's why they did this to me. I didn't have a social life because I worked in a factory, and Harold White worked for Goodyear for 30 years. He retired from Goodyear, and he had a social life, but I didn't. But like I say, I will get heard. I want people to hear my story. I fear for my life from the Democrats, the Republicans, the black organization, the media, the police, everybody. Because they can't afford to let me tell what have happened to me. This evidence here is just the tip of the iceberg. I got 33 years of evidence just as plain as the one I showed you. And it's all on the government and big business and the black organization and the media. So y'all pray for me. Please help me. I'm trying to get justice for me and my family, the Lewis family. Please pray for us. Please help us. Please get the word out. We need help. I want to get to safety. I need to get my stomach checked. I haven't had my stomach checked. I had 3 upper GI surgery, and I want to get to safety. I feel for my life here, especially from the Democrats and Republicans and black organizations. May God bless each and every one of you and pray for us. Thank you. Ready? This is proof that all the this is the politician cover-up that protected Goodyear Giant Rubber Company after they cut me. And here it is in writing, all the politicians covered it up. You done with that? Here's another one. Here's another one. It's another one. All of these politicians and all the agencies covered this up to protect this company. I wanted people to see with their own eyes. what's going on in this country. Michigan Supreme Court, they covered it up. This is a letter that my doctor wrote, Michael Griffin, and he covered it up after my doctor wrote it. Department of Justice covered it up. Janet Reno, she covered it up. John Kerry covered it up. All of them. Also, here's a letter we wrote. Me and my pain psychologist, Dr. Sidney Nichols, wrote a career-page letter to the CEO of Goodyear, Shamar Gable, when I was in pain class. And this is this letter. It's career pages. You got it? Okay. I pause it. But you politicians, what you did to me and my family, what the peoples don't know, they cut my son for osteoarthritis disease. That's a growing disease. They don't have records of my son. They don't have records of me. And for you politicians, Democrats and Republicans, to do what y'all doing to the peoples of this country, and what you did to me. My wife is in her grave because of y'all, because I won't let Goodyear take a diss out of me. But God is coming for you. Do you hear me? He coming for all of you. I've been on the mission for Jesus for 33 years. And he coming for you. And I will get hurt. I don't fear you. You ain't nothing to fear. Y'all ain't nothing but cowards. To kill us and do to us what you doing to and have did to us is an abomination against Jesus and mankind. And we will speak later on down the road. Y'all have a blessed day. These documents is mobilized from the Union and Goodyear. This document. And the Department of Labor, another Blanchard covered, he covered it up, another document. I wrote Fred Steele, the plant manager. He was the plant manager when I was slaughtered, and here's the letter I wrote him. Here's the letter I wrote Stanley Sumo. He was in Akron, and this is the letter that I wrote him. This is they covered this up. Here's another from Goodyear. The financial services. These are letters that, some of the letters we wrote over the years. Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill, Dennis Archer, Regal, all these people knew about this. And this letter is special to me. When my wife had cancer, they wanted to stick my wife for no reason. And I wouldn't let them do that. Because they would go give us aid. That's what Jesus showed me. And I wrote a letter. Jesus told me to write the state a letter, Julie Bell, and I'm here to read that letter. I wrote it the 3rd, the 20th, 2001. And I read the letter to you, and then I take a picture of it. The letter say, we had a hearing with the judge from Lansing on the 3rd to 15th, 2001. I told the judge, wasn't nobody going to stick my wife. And I meant that. And I got a letter and everything on the appointment is about sticking. Nobody going to kill my wife for Goodyear Giant Rebel Company. Jesus showed me that the state was going to kill my wife for Goodyear Giant Rebel Company. I have been promised by churches in and out the city, both black and white, that my wife would get the medical help she needs. Jesus told me to tell you to take your Medicaid, leave us alone. Jesus told me to tell you all to keep, Jesus told me to tell you for y'all to keep your Medicaid, leave us alone. Anything I need to see, Jesus will show me. Anything I need to hear, he will tell me. And here's a copy of that letter I wrote when he told me to write. And I wrote them. This is my wife of 40 years. She came down with breast cancer in 2007. And they wouldn't give her insurance to state of Michigan because I wouldn't let Goodyear take a diss out of me. I had insurance. They gave me, when she came down with cancer, they hurried up and gave me insurance. But in order for me to get my wife insurance, I would have to let them take the diss out because I was in violation. And the cancer spread it from her, it was the size of a BB in her breast. I pleaded for my wife's life, politicians, DHS, Social Security, everybody. And they wouldn't give my wife a Medicaid card to try to save her life. The cancer spread it to her breast. She came down with breast cancer. It spread it to her lungs. It spread it to her brain. The state of Michigan then said she was sick and gave her insurance until they gave her 6 weeks to live. And she died 3 months later. And I had insurance the whole time. And if I qualified for insurance, she qualified for insurance because she was my dependent. I got $1,100 a month at that time. And here is the spend down they had me on that I had to meet. This spend down here, I've got $1,100, and this spend down here is $842 a month I have to meet. Here's a copy of it. Here's another one. This one is $936. They kept going up on the price. No doctor would treat her. No doctor would treat her. Here's another one. This one is $868. They went up on. They steady going up. $868. And I only get a few $1,100 a month. Here's another one. This one is for $853. I met with Mark Shower when cancer was spreading all over my wife's body, me and Dave Gooseby. And I took him the evidence in there. And we talked, and he said these big companies, something else, he'll get back with me. I said, well, could you give my wife a Medicaid card? She's sick, she need help now. Because she got cancer. A couple of weeks after I met with him, he sent me word by Dave Gooseby. I need workers' comp lawyer, called Sam Bernstein. I called Sam Bernstein. I was treated like dirt, but Chava told me to call him. They had Sam Bernstein had been told how to treat me before I called him. When I called them and asked for help, they was mad with me. They treated me like dirt, so let us help you. All that don't believe that. My wife had brain cancer, lung cancer, and breast cancer. No lawyer would represent us. The NAACP was going to the Bahamas. Jesse Jackson was understaffed. That's what they did to my wife. My wife died like an animal. She laid here at home until cancer spread it all over her body, and nobody would help. I went to the preachers. I went everywhere, and nobody would help us. You ain't even a human being in this country. We ain't even human beings. And I want some answers about my wife. Now, y'all compensate me. You give my wife back to me. That's what I want from you politicians. Simple as that. Wahlberg, I went to him for help. His administration. They said he wasn't a senator. Poleski, the senator, the one with common sense. Cancer growing all over my wife's body. It was funny to him. Gary Peters, Conyers, all of them. What you looking at, they've been had for years. Gary Peters, he know about it. David Stabenow called the police. We asked her for help. She called the police and said we was terrorists. Here the state police that came out here to lock us up. Here this car. We got his car. That's his car. That's what David Stabenow did to us just because we asked for help. We asked them to take the evidence. They said we can't do it. But they gonna lock us up just for asking for help. That's what they told us. We went to the Obama administration, and they basically threatened us the same way. He too busy for that. That's what they told us. Handle it yourself. So we handled it ourselves. I forgive everybody that hurted me along the way, like Jesus asked me. But somebody better come up with some answers. What you have done to me, especially you Democrats and Republicans. I'm not your slave. I'm a human being. And all you is a human being. Simply said. I went to every president from 84 to now, and it was out their jurisdiction. How can Michigan, Tennessee, and Ohio be out their jurisdiction, and Goodyear put a knife in my child, and put a knife in me, and kill my wife, but it's out their jurisdiction? That's what I want to know. So the president ain't the president of Michigan, Tennessee, and Ohio. But if I put a knife in somebody, they go chase me all over the world. But Jesus wanted people to see. And that's why he used us. So people could see. My wife gave her life so people could see what they doing to us. You don't have to worry about the peoples overseas. You better worry about those Nazis in Washington, D.C. Because this is Nazi Germany, and these death camps were set up in 1980. Simply said.